I see the fountain in the lake. I look out my sliding glass doors here, Sarasota, in the evening, a lighted fountain, and a spewing thing that it is, glowing out there in the distance. And I think of someone like Bill Gates. Must have been his thoughts too. 2011, Bill Gates became evidently interested in Epstein. Epstein, you know Epstein, the guy that died in the hanging in the jail run by the federal sheriffs or whatever they are, um, hanging 2 feet from the floor, somehow hanging, being hung. But nonetheless, Bill Gates was involved with him to such an extent that he even flew from Manhattan down to Epstein in Florida on one trip. And of course, the relationship with Epstein and young girls, and the theory that people had that Epstein got his money not from investments so much, but from blackmail, from films that he had done of people caught in these awkward situations. Sign your property over to me for $1 and we'll call it a day. A Manhattan mansion was taken by Epstein. An island was taken by Epstein. Um, and so Bill Gates, who had and represented a lot of money, married prior to that, has children prior to that, and his wife accepted that he had uh, other liaisons all along. And there's a lot of ideas about what Bill Gates is and was. A lot of those things are magnanimous and wonderful. His willingness to give away his money. Well, now he's given half of it away in a divorce. So this thing has become a different animal. And the relationship with Epstein has come out in the open. So this thing is going to be a real albatross, and probably with 3 children and a wife wanting to keep herself aloof from perhaps having pictures of her husband show up having sex with someone one of their children's age might be awkward. So I would say that's kind of where this might be going, and it's already gotten legs. I had talked about this much prior to when the thing started to break about Gates. But the Gates thing is interesting. The wife knew going in when she got involved in the foundation, she wanted to sit next to him at the board meetings, and more or less the word was propose to him, to get involved with him directly, to have children by him, and to have that involvement and that uh, protection for herself long term. We've got a caller coming in. I think it's Alex. Is that right, Alex? Are you going to come into the show? Are you listening?
I'm
Maybe
here.
not. Oh, you're there,
Yep.
Alex. Okay. Okay. Hi there. So, what are your
Call.
thoughts about this Gates fiasco that's developing? He had a great reputation, and now his reputation is looking kind of tawdry or not so nice.
Well, let's see. That I mean, this is the make or break situation. Will Bill Gates have a good reputation after this, or will he not? It's either or. There's no in the middle. There's no more normalness like it was before. And the problem
Well,
with this,
I disagree with that. I think he's going to have this reputation and the other reputation. And the problem the public's going to have is which one will they accept? Does he care about the public enough to worry about that? He split half his monies with his wife. She's got all she needs. The children are taken care of. So he's fulfilled his obligation. So how does that make it? And when people realize he had bargained with her that he went to see an old girlfriend once a year for a weekend as a routine, and the more I come across relationships that are not so different, I'm finding out guys do that all the time. The woman wants to marry them, they bargain. The woman makes the bargain in order to be taken care of. They'll say, "Yeah, I'll let you go. Have your fun. Make sure you keep them where they are and don't bring them into the family. Keep the family going, protect the family." And that's true of Europe too. A lot of Europeans do that. I think one of the prime ministers of France at one time had a girlfriend uh, 5 blocks away. He was married, and the wife knew he would routinely visit the other woman all the time. So this is the viewpoint on marriage, that some people just think it's a loyalty, one monogamous, perfect kind of thing, or it's nothing. Marriage is a contract as much as anything. It's a business, especially when large money's involved, and people become, well, not so puritanical, not so perfect. And the general public is waking up to that. How much the general public accepts it when sex trafficking is involved, that's a different ball game.
That's the question. How much will the public accept his ties with Epstein when they finally come out?
So how much is going to come out is the question. So this what's happened to the investigation with, who's the gal that he is, it was Epstein's facilitator,
Just like
his female pimp,
the Maxwell.
Maxwell. Yes, that's the one. She's supposedly out on bail, or is she still in jail? I don't remember. Do you recall?
She was denied bail again.
Was she? So she's in jail right now. So they because they're afraid she'll flee, they remanded her to jail. That's tough when you're used to money and escaping the responsibilities that money uh, affords you most of the time. And this time it's not working. Uh, it's an interesting thing where this is going to go. I think the Epstein thing splashes on so many people that are big names. I mean, for Bill Gates to get drug into the Epstein relationship and discover that's 10 years old, it's not recent. We found out this recently, but 10 years ago, did you have any idea? No. He flew on the damn planes. Probably videos of him having sex on the damn plane with some kid. Who else? Everybody else of any consequence, of every name. He's got a Epstein's reputation, and the people involved with Epstein have to terrify a whole bunch of people, Alex. There's got to be people shivering in their boots. Not so much that they think people don't accept a, a free sex lifestyle, but because they're having sex with underage kids. The Matt Gaetz thing's a good example. Now, if what if this Max Gaetz thing comes out, and he's already been tied to underage girls? What happens if he's been involved with Epstein too, and half the Republican Party is involved with him as well? I mean, this thing could really blow up. So you've got people who want other people to divert from their reputation. At this point, Bill Gates says, "I got so much money, I don't care." And he's basically said that at this point. I let my wife go. She's happy. My children are happy. I'm not going to infect my children with my problems, I hope. But what am I going to do? I don't care. So uh, I think this Epstein thing, dead or alive, Epstein is really changing the game. Now,
I gotta say one thing. This is what's really changed the game. When when Bill Gates is caught being a pedophile, guess what's gonna happen? The market is gonna crash. Maybe even
I don't think so.
it may even cause depression. Yes, Bill Gates.
No.
Market.
No.
It's over.
No, the market's not going to crash.
Oh,
The only thing that would make the market crash would be a jump in the interest rates, and they're not going to do that. There's just the market's too healthy. Right now, the Fed is reviewing the interest rate situation. Do they want to raise it or not? They're not going to raise it until they put a tax on the wealth and the wealthy, because the 45 years of growth in this country of making America modern was built on a wealth tax. You couldn't build modern America without the wealth tax. It never would have happened. So you have to tax the wealthy. As Dillinger, the gangster, said, I go to the banks because they have the money, and the government has to said, I go to the wealthy because they have the money. It's no damn different, Alex. It's just reality. But what would cause a problem, and I don't think is going to happen, Biden is really smart. Now we're shifting gears here a little bit, but Biden is really moving just like FDR did. He's splitting the people up on what they'll accept and what they won't accept. And people are predicting all kinds of, oh, it's going to be terrible. The spending money is going to get out of control, blah, 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 blah. Not unless they don't cover it with a tax. And that tax has got to come no matter what the Republicans say. And their party is so split right now, they don't know what to do. And if all that has to happen is for Melania to get caught up in one of Donald's messes with his houses, and his family gets caught up in that, and that comes out in the open that they've been stealing money, not reporting money, whatever. That's coming. So Trump's reputation is going to go in the toilet, and that's going to save a lot of things for the Democrats, because the Republicans are right now are hoping Trump can hold his own. But if he falls apart with the criminal stuff with the state of New York, the ball game is over, and that's what's about to happen. This Weisskopf, the accountant for Trump, is going to blow the whistle on the whole ball game. So it's an interesting situation we're in right now. I don't think the economy, the Fed under the people, Powell and I can't think of the woman's name that's at the Fed. They're very smart people. They're not going to let money go out there at such a low rate forever. That's called quantitative easing. They're going to pull the horse a little tighter down the road if it looks like they're not going to get revenue to cover the spending. But the revenue, you see, what people don't understand, if you have revenue coming from a wealth tax, they project if that tax holds for, let's say 5 years, that more than takes care of the long range spending that's been done. And if you add to it an infrastructure bank where people invest in the growth of the infrastructure, that also pays for things. So, and that's what big money looks at, and that's what the central bank looks at. So everybody's predicting gloom and doom. They did the same thing with FDR when he did the same thing. FDR did this before, and it continued for 45 years with a wealth tax. We survived just fine, paid for everything. That's how we did it. And it lasted from 1935 all the way to 1980 until Ronald Reagan decided that government's a problem, not a solution. Let's get rid of government. When you do that, then you have things fall apart. He put us in a recession right away by the second time he was in a second term of his office, and almost went into a crash in '86. So it's but you do that when you don't pay your way, and wealth tax helps pay your way. Government is no different than anyone else. It has to pay its way, and in order to do that, it's got to tax the people with the money. You're not going to tax the lower ones. They're not going to tax you, Alex, and they're not going to tax me. I'm not big enough. So they're going to tax the big money. That's you're not. If you start making
I want
400,000,
that tax.
what's that?
Yeah, I wish I was one of the lucky ones who was in that tax bracket.
Of course you would, and if you could pay that tax and brag about it, you would. And you'd be happy as hell. But you have to make $400,000 to do that in a
But the thing
year.
is, though, can I say this? The thing is, I think the reason why we have so many millionaire and billionaires right now is because there's low taxes on high income. So once we tax the rich like they say they will, we will have less millionaires and billionaires created.
Oh, I don't think so. I think you won't. I think you'll create more millionaires, less billionaires. That's a little bit different, because then everybody's going to pay the freight, and the billionaires will not make excessive money, and the millionaires will make more than they're making now. So you're going to spread the wealth. That's spreading the wealth. That's what I think is going to happen. But we shall see. I think we got a very smart president in there who knows what he's doing. And my concern is if he gets the second term, he'll continue. He'll go through two terms, I do believe. He seems to enjoy his job. But
well, I think Biden's in big trouble with this Israel thing. He can't.
Oh, it's over. It's over. They announced the ceasefire this evening. The ceasefire's in place. They just announced it. I'm sorry, that's in the news. And
We'll see how long it lasts.
it will last. It'll be a while, but it'll last. Israel was told. Here's what Israel was told: you like the $3.8 billion you get every year for military? You want us to cut that off and
Yeah, but
announce
that's
it? We're
wrong.
cutting. All they have to do is tell Israel we're going to cut you off on this military spending, and we're going to give it to the Palestinians more so, and you're going to get none of it. Israel's in trouble, and they're no longer in the catbird seat with Netanyahu's ready to go out of office, and by doing what he was doing, um, the mistake he made was he's got a real rogue general. I can't think of the guy. His name's Aaron something or other, and he's the guy that ordered the bombing of the press building for the AP. Big mistake. Big mistake to knock down whole buildings like that. No, that was when you want to kill a flea, you don't use a hammer. And that's what Israel was doing, using a hammer to kill a flea. They have the Iron Dome, Alex, and those rockets are almost useless with that electronic dome that they put over the area. And they I think they got killed 8 people that are Israelis, and they're not sure if they weren't Palestinians who are Israelis also. Some of them are, but the point is they killed over almost 300 uh, Palestinians and destroyed all kinds of buildings, shut down housing. They dislocated 50,000 people. They have nowhere to live. Uh, Israel's way out of control.
The problem they have, but these people are terrorists. The people that live in Hamas,
No,
they need to leave.
that's what they like to label them. That's popular nonsense.
No,
Hamas,
these Palestinians are
Hamas,
they are terrorists. They are. Palestinians have always been terrorists. Not all of them. Not saying all Palestinians are terrorists. No, because not all Americans are thugs and gangsters, and But Palestinians.
what do you? Oh, let's now, Alex. I'm going to trap you now. I'm going to warn you.
I support Israel. Everything the president says, is true. I support everything.
Oh, good for you. That's lovely. That's nonsense. I don't support Israel every which way. Why should you? Why would you? You're going to support somebody that kills 400 people over somebody that kills one person or two?
These people have been sending suicide bombers in.
There's no suicide bombers in this thing. That's not true. No. The thing Israel's doing, they're letting. First of all, Netanyahu will lose the election they're going to have. He's already lost it. He's lost control. This little war he put forward is to keep himself in office and not get booted out. This is all by he's tactically doing this to keep his power, and he's about to lose it. And so they're going to pull the rug out from under him. And I support Israel's existence, but the country that threatens Israel more than any other is. Let's see which one you think it is. Name a country that's big and can threaten you. That threatens Israel. Which country would it be? Are you informed about that, or are you just guessing?
Russia?
No. Who has said Israel has no place to live or no right to live? Which countries?
Not sure.
No, you're not sure because you don't know. The one that Israel claims all the time is Iran, which is not true. There's Jews living in Iran. It's Pakistan, and Iran is 90 million people. Pakistan is 200 million people, and who has atomic weapons? Not Iran. Pakistan has had for the longest time. They have Muslims in charge there, and so you have a mix of secular Sunni uh, Muslims in Pakistan, in Palestine, excuse me, and you have some Shia, which are also pretty much similar to a secular Sunni, which means they're not jihadists, they're not terrorists, which we like to label people that criticize poor Israel. Who's got the greatest military in the Middle East? Israel. Poor Israel. Who pays for that? The United States. Come on. This
Proudly.
thing, It's ridiculous. But the terrorists, as far as I can see, is Israel. As much as they're caging these people up like animals in a bowling alley with walls in every direction. The people cannot move. They can't fly out of there. Their airports shut down. The Israelis shut everything. Their freedom of movement and their right to free speech is cut off. They shut down their news media. The Israelis are it's called apartheid. You know anything what apartheid is? Have you heard of that? You don't know, do you?
It's called war. I mean,
No, it's not called war. It's apartheid. That's different.
Hamas should never send rockets into Israel. Now they know and do not send rockets into Israel. Just like the president said.
You know what, Alex? This is again. You know what an Iron Dome is?
Yes,
What is it?
it's it's the weapon Israel has.
What is it?
America pays for it.
Yeah, what is it?
It's an
What is it?
rocket system.
It's a system of rockets that create an electronic shield over a very small area. That's why the rockets get knocked down most of the time when they're coming up. But it doesn't justify them doing that. It's just that on the land, they can't move around freely to do business. They're prisoners in their own land, and the Israelis are supporting the settlers from stealing the land of the Palestinians. Their olive groves and all that sort of thing are being bulldozed and stolen for settlers in all the time in Israel. And the original people of that area were the Palestinians, not the Jews. They're not the original people. They like to say they were, but they're not. And the Palestinians build everything up. And when in '48, when they went in and started separating things and putting Jews into Israel, reestablished them to their homeland from 2,000 years ago, the Palestinians were just run over. I'm just, I think the Jews needed a place to go, but did they need to go there? I'm not so sure. But now they're in that situation. There's always fighting. They want a one-state solution or a two-state solution. As long as they have the United States protecting Israel, is fine. If they lose that protection, they won't last that long. So it's just because we protect them, and that's the question is how long should we?
And also, if we lose Israel, we possibly won't last that long. The Middle East, that place is so corrupted as it is. It'll get even more corrupted. I think
now the only reason the Middle East is corrupt, if you want to put the word corrupt into it, is because of oil. But that's coming to an end. You know that.
no, it's Islam. Islam. It's not the oil. It's Islam. Islam's the culprit. Islam uses the oil.
Well,
You
there are
oil, you
two.
have a problem. Trust me.
Alex, now be careful. Now, is there one Islam or is there more than one Islam?
We had this discussion many times. There's more than one Islam that, as you educated me many times, which I agree.
Let me
But both are.
let me let me educate you one more time. There's the Sunni Islam, where half the people under Sunni Islam have no rights. They're called women. There's a billion of them. There's a little over half a billion, now about 300 million, 400 million Shia Muslims, where all women have rights to get education, everything. But the other Islam, there isn't. In the case of Palestine, women have all rights there, all rights. So they share the religion, but they don't share it in the extreme way that comes out of Saudi Arabia. And so you have a really, right now, we're still supporting Saudi Arabia is blocking down the country of Yemen because they don't like the leadership by the Shia. And so they're trying to reimpose a king on Yemen so they can kill off the Shia there through a king. So they're killing off the people by starving them. And we're adding the weapons, we're giving them planes, we're helping with the bombing, and we're killing probably 100,000 people with Saudis doing that with our help. So our meddling in that area has caused a lot of this shit. Frankly, that's the word for this shit. And but you're on the edge now, folks. So you're hearing some rather frank discussions, and I appreciate Alex. He tends to talk about the things in terms of conventional knowledge. I don't think I have the greatest knowledge, but I think I have the kind of information that's pretty much you can corroborate if you start looking into it. Get your Google out and start checking out the two Islams, which Alex thinks there's only one, or thought there was only one, because you talk to some Muslims, they'll tell you that. And Alex, when you were in jail that time, you got to know some Muslims, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you taught them how to do some investing and something about cyber coins and Bitcoin and things like that, and they appreciated that. Now, were they Shia or were they Sunni, or did you ever find out?
Not sure.
So they're probably Sunni.
But the woman had no rights. The woman had to stay in the room every time a guest came to the house.
They told you that, right?
Yeah.
How did they tell you that? It's an interesting question. Now, when you asked and talked about that, how'd that come up?
Well, they basically, I didn't ask them. They basically were just saying, yeah, my friends come over, and then my wife goes in the room, like it was normal, like it was normal to me, but it was not normal. I never heard that before. That's why it stood out.
What do you mean by that?
Like their friends are not allowed to see the woman at all.
So they tell a woman, get out of here. You have no right to be part of our social life, right?
I'm not sure if that's the way they do it or not,
The
but
woman had to leave the room because the husband said so, right?
yeah, and they have no rights basically, and you can only see their eyes, I guess.
So you have what is, I would say, a cruel religion. And those are the same people that financed 9/11. The same ones that protected you in the jail also attacked our country. Those are the jihadists. That's jihadists. They're not just Muslims, they're Sunni jihadist Muslims. They're not Shia. They're not from Iran. Iran doesn't do that. Iran has never attacked anyone or started a war historically. Never. There's no history of it. So it's Saudi and what they call the Wahhabists and the jihadists, all the ISIS, Al Qaeda, all these different groups are called jihadists, meaning they swear that when they're called on by order of the imam, that's like a bishop. The imam says we call you out. You have to do a certain job. We tell you what it is. If it's bomb America, bomb America. The West is corrupt. The West is sinful. Women are treated like whores. We treat women like slaves. It's better to keep women as slaves than whores. What's the difference? A slave is a whore. A whore is a slave. There's no difference. They think, I mean, they think they're virtuous. They think they're virtuous because they encapsulate women in clothing, and nobody can see them except the eyes and the husband when he chooses to screw them in the middle of the night or some damn thing, and so they can have, they're there to produce children and nothing more. They have such a perverted religion. This is a fact that it's well known that the escape sexual interest of Sunni Muslim men is in little boys. The dancing boys of Afghanistan are there for sexual purposes. They would rather have sex that way with a boy than a woman
Yep.
for pleasure. And when you go to these islands of the rich and so forth, if you're a young guy like yourself, you go to I can't think of Bahrain, where you have these huge hotels built along the sea and so forth, and it's exotic and beautiful and so forth. If you have to take a taxi and you're by yourself, don't get in a private car, and be careful what taxi you take, because they'll take you out in the desert and fuck you right in the ass. It's well known. They do this
Yep.
all the time.
Open to the
That's
documentary. And
that.
India too. The truck stops. Don't ever go to a truck stop. That's all you see is young boys there. That's their preferred sexual. That's the desire. It's not like here in America. It's a woman. There, it's a young
Well,
boy,
the
7 to
Indians
12 years old.
the Indians I would say it's not nearly so much as the Sunni Muslims. Much the Bahrain is it's the preferred thing to do, and they get off on that stuff. It's a sick thing, and their religion is the key to it. It's a bizarre kind of like the Catholic Church and the priests who are celibate. They lust after little boys. It's very much like that nonsense. So yeah, but we've deviated off of Bill Gates. So, but we haven't. Bill Gates evidently was curious about young girls. Probably is on video by Epstein as having relations. It's a reasonable guess. He bargained with the devil, and the devil took him down the hole, and now it comes out, and here we are talking about Bill Gates and sex trafficking and the relationship to the jihadists, all this perversion all over the world. But who supports it and who hides it today? The Democrats will crush you politically. It's called the Me Too movement. But the Republicans are all in on that. Matt Gaetz is out there doing it. Donald Trump's out there doing it. All the great so-called conservatives. The joke of a lifetime. Anyway, that's my take on Bill Gates and Epstein. We probably should come back to Epstein a little bit and Gates in another show, but I think it's an interesting bit of commentary, perhaps, to some people. I don't know. What do you think, Alex?
Oh yeah, definitely have a little series on this. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show, man.
No. Thank you for being faithful enough to me to keep me going in my old age and my decrepit state. So I appreciate you a lot, Alex. Believe me, I may give you stuff, but I really do appreciate you. I want to thank you, and thanks to you out there who watched The Edge, and watch again if you will. Appreciate that.